All right, guys, we've got our season preview here for the New England Patriots. Weird off season, a lot of change here. So we're going to go ahead and take a deeper dive into the New England Patriots. Now, over under 4.5 on their season win total. We'll get into why, a whole mishmash of stuff, but it's the lowest one in the NFL's at this moment in time. Panthers were on 4.5, but they've moved up to 5.5, so it is the lowest currently in the NFL. And why don't we go ahead and talk through the coaching, at least here. Head coach Jerod Mayo, he gets promoted from the linebackers coach up. They've been waiting to do that for a year or two now. And then offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt from outside the organization, defensive coordinator DeMarcus Covington from inside the organization as well. So a whole new staff in a dangerous situation here. So obviously one of the best coaches of all time, Bill Belichick, goes out. Bill Belichick obviously had his flaws toward the end there, but defensively, obviously one of the best minds ever in that position. Team building, not so great. He's done a poor job there, and you can kind of see those fingerprints on this team. The defense is good. Offense is just not in terms of talent. So, goods, positive things, negative things coming and going there. Probably time for him to really step out and for them to bring in a new age. I'm just not sure the new age was supposed to look like this. So we'll see. But why don't we go forward into the roster? Quarterback room, Jacoby Brissett, Drake May. Brissett's probably going to start for a while. Looking at the schedule, I'm not sure where you bring Drake May in. It's a really, really tough first 12-ish games. I think my best landing spot's probably home to Miami or home to Houston. You get Miami, Houston at home, and then at Jacksonville. I don't want him facing the Jets on the road. I don't want him facing the Niners on the road, Cincinnati on the road to start the year. So it's a really, really tough kind of area to bring him in. You can also bring him toward the end there. Home to the Rams, at Miami, home to Indiana, at Arizona. There's, potential there for him to come back into the team here. But the first 10 or so games are brutal, brutal, brutal. And we'll talk about the schedule a little bit later. So we may not see Drake May for a little bit. Brissett's okay. I don't have any problems with Brissett. He's not anything great. He's not horrid in terms of some of these backups around. So he's probably, top 10 backup. And, decent enough. And he's been around the league for a long while. And then we can jump into probably their biggest issue on the offense is the offensive line. It was a bad offensive line last year. And nothing really changed here. Okorafor comes in for Trent Brown. Is that an upgrade? Probably not. They'll hope Cole Strange takes a step, but the rest of the O-line's here. It's not super young. So I'm kind of baffled at how they handled the offensive line. It seems like a problem, and for a player like Drake May, if you've watched him over in North Carolina or anything like that, you know that a bad offensive line could be horrible for the way he plays. As for, the skill positions, we can start running back, Ramondre Stevenson. It's okay. Middle of the tier kind of back. Antonio Gibson, pretty decent. Receiving back, and then you got some, other pieces. Kevin Harris is okay. JaMychal Hasty's got himself a skill set for sure, but nothing that's down. So nothing great there. Wide receiver room, interesting, but nothing crazy. Kendrick Bourne is probably their best wide receiver, but coming off an ACL is not good. Jalen Polk was someone I liked in the draft. But to carry an offense, obviously, not great. It's his first year. They'll hope he hits the ground running. Demario Douglas is pretty decent. And then, just some other players here that are, threes, really. KJ Osborne, Javon Baker, Juju, Jalen Reagor. Players you're not going to get much out of. Their depth, not good depth. And it's just not a good position there. Tight end, Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper, and then Gesicki's gone. So it's an average room. They're going to play with their tight ends as they always do, you would think. But, nothing great, nothing awful there in that room. So the offense has issues. One of them being the coordinator, Alex Van Pelt. He wasn't calling plays where he was from, and that could be problematic. Jerod Mayo is not going to be given the offense his own working or anything like that. A lot of it's going to be on Alex Van Pelt, which is my issue kind of with this type of new head coach you kind of get with Gerard Mayo, who's not necessarily maybe a huge X's and O's kind of guy, which I don't have a problem with. But your coordinator's got to be up to stuff, and a fully new coordinator is going to be new calling plays and stuff like that with a bad O-line, rookie quarterback kind of thing. Skill position's not great. It could be potentially really, really bad. One of the bottom 3 offenses in the NFL, as I expect. Defense is a little bit better. D-line's good. Run defense is good. Potential at pass rush as well. We'll see what happens with Barmore. He's got that blood clot thing going on. Hopefully he gets healthy and ready to roll next to Godshaw. And then Judon's back. He spent a lot of last year on the sideline hurt, but an excellent pass rusher when he's available. Keon White showed flashes last year. Looks like he's going to be decent enough on the other side. You also have, some good depth on the outside. Wise, Jennings, Uche, some decent depth pieces here. So it's a decent line. Decent defensive line. Decent line. Plenty of blue players who still have potential. Keon White can still step up. Barmore's still young enough where, he can show something else as well. And the depth pieces, as I said, they're okay. Nothing spectacular. Don't expect them to take any steps or anything like that. So it's not too bad on the D-line. Linebacker, pretty decent. Tavia, Bentley, Taki, these are all decent players. Tavia's been playing well. Taki played well also. They're not players you'd expect to take a huge step forward, but players that are solid enough and good enough to start in that midfield or in that middle linebacker area. So it's a decent group. Nothing crazy, nothing awful. Middle of the pack kind of group, pushing top 10 at linebacker, which is pretty decent. Secondary, also a decent unit. Christian Gonzalez comes back. We have a small play on him to win Defensive Player of the Year because that was 180-1. But he showed flashes of being really lockdown type in his games while he was healthy, and then he had that shoulder injury and missed the rest of the year. But if he could, step back onto the field and really show those flashes, really take a step forward, you got a really good corner here. Across from Jonathan Jones, who also had a pretty good year. And then we had Peppers, who's coming off a career year last year. He played really, really well. So the secondary's got some really nice pieces. Secondary has room to grow too with, some younger guys in there. Christian Gonzalez especially. If Christian Gonzalez can look like what he did last year and take a step, you have a really, really good corner there. My biggest issue with the defense is going to be if they can keep up the level. Belichick had them playing above their talent level for a really long time. And you can argue he's kept that up last year and the year before, even lately, as the head coaching kind of declined, the squad building kind of declined. The way he brought the defense up above their level was still evident and still there. So can Gerard Mayo, DeMarcus Covington, can they keep those guys playing above their talent level? Because it's nothing particularly great here, but there's room for it to fall off if you're not playing up above their level like they were last year. So we'll see with the defense. There's potential for it to be good, potential for it to be bad. If this defense takes a step back under the new coaching, this team is going to have a really, really tough time. But the defense, if it's playing like last year, it's going to keep them in some games. In terms of how they win games, the defense keeping teams to 13, 17 points, and the offense doing just enough. That's probably their recipe for a win. But, it's going to be pretty difficult with the offense as it is, and the new coaches all across the board. As for the schedule, it's disgusting. It's a horrible schedule. At Cincinnati, home to Seattle, at the Jets, at San Francisco, then Miami, Houston, at Jacksonville, home to the Jets. Disgusting way to start, and we've talked about it. Where does May get put in? Not sure. I would probably put him in after that San Francisco game, home to Miami, home to Houston, at Jacksonville, or home to the Rams later in the season. Rams at Miami, Indy at Arizona, and then Buffalo, Chargers, Buffalo to end the season there. So it's a tough spot to be in. We'll see going forward there. Our bet, though, for the Patriots for the season, last winless team. The bottom can fall out here, but even if the bottom doesn't fall out, it's a really, really tough start to the schedule for anybody, let alone a team that doesn't have a ton of expectation, rookie quarterback type, bad offense, on edge kind of defense. At Cincinnati, home to Seattle, at the Jets, at San Fran. Then you got Miami, Houston, at Jacksonville, in London, where Jacksonville are on the second portion or the second leg of their back-to-back there in London. So they're going to be in London for 2 weeks or a week and a half, and Patriots are going to show up. And we saw what happened to the Bills in that situation last year. Jacksonville ran them over, really. So really bad spot there. And then Jets at Tennessee, at Chicago, home to the Rams, at Miami. Home to Indy after that. So there's no real spot outside of, the home games where you expect them to get wins. I don't expect them to get wins on any of these first 4 on the road, at Jacksonville, at San Fran, at the Jets, at Cincinnati. And then you got the home games. Seattle, they're going to be slight dogs there, 2 points, 2.5 maybe. And then Miami and Houston at home, and then the Jets. And they could lose all those games, and that's why we're playing that. Last winless team, plus 600, 30-cent bet. And those are our 2024 New England Patriots.